Elon Musk is singing "Bye Bye Bird" as he said goodbye to Twitter and replaced it with X. This decision took the social media world by storm, causing confusion, and I woke up to see an unknown app called X on my phone. At the heart of this controversy is an excellent marketing strategy. As we've seen with other brands like Neek's controversial "Believe in Something" ad. But the reality of this rebranding is much more than it looks on the surface. So, let's uncover what's beneath Twitter's tip of the iceberg and why Elon rebranded the company to X. Chapter 1. Twitter's answer to Threads. Back in July, Meta launched its answer to Twitter, the Threads app. While Twitter was going through many controversies, such as unbanning figures like Andrew Tate or Donald Trump, Meta was plotting its response to Twitter. So, they released Threads, which can be considered as a controlled version of Twitter. It features a similar design to Instagram, but the brilliant part is that it can sync to Instagram, so there's not much transition needed. You see, Threads was taking over the internet, and Meta's stock price added another $60 billion after the rise of their newly released app. At this point, it was confirmed that Meta was taking shots at Twitter, to which the whole Elon versus Mark Zuckerberg fight was planned. Users almost started preferring Threads to Twitter because Twitter is more like an aged social media account. Most Gen Z and millennials transitioned to Instagram long ago, making Twitter more of a political social media service. So Meta took the benefit of the doubt and rolled out Threads in an attempt to shift Gen Z completely, but also focus on the existing audience of Twitter by providing some of the most useful features. Twitter users loved that Threads would allow up to a 500 character limit as opposed to Twitter's 280. The sign-up process was easier, and it's just branded for the younger audience. It is also a much more controlled version of Twitter, until one day we get the news that Elon Musk is rebranding Twitter to X, and their logo. It's a direct response to Threads. So why did Twitter get rebranded to X? Let's find out. Chapter 2. Why did Twitter rebrand to X? You see, Elon Musk paid a whopping $44 billion for Twitter when he bought it last October. But due to a series of controversies, like hiring more than half of Twitter's employees or bringing complete freedom of speech to the platform, due to these questionable decisions, Twitter's revenue was half compared to what it was before Elon bought it. And when Meta's Threads app became viral on the internet, Elon had to push the buttons to rebrand Twitter and lay out his plans. But what exact plans are we talking about? Before the $44 billion deal last year, Elon's vision to create an everything app was still there. He even said that the company would be called X, and its concept would be comparable to some other social media platforms that are used in China. Sort of like what the whole Line ecosystem does. Then one weekend in July 2023, we got the news that Twitter had been rebranded to X. The world was confused. People were freaking out to find an unknown app called X on their devices until they finally clicked it. Now, dubbed X, Elon's plan to create an everything app has already begun. So the reason behind Twitter's rebranding isn't just a response to Threads. But I would say that Threads got stuck in the crossfire as Elon planned to create an all-in one app long before he even bought Twitter. Elon also plans to make X a one-stop shop for financial services and a lot more. According to him, while Bird's tweeting makes a lot of sense, now that he owns Twitter, he plans to change Twitter into an ultimate app centered on audio, video, messages, payments, banking, services, goods, and marketplaces, creating a global marketplace that will shock the world. While no current X products are launched, it's safe to say that Elon and the Twitter team are already working on it. But a question arises, where did the name X come from? Where did the name X come from? Musk has shown a personal love for the letter X. Isn't it obvious? One of the best Teslas is named after the word X, which gave us the Tesla Model X. Moreover, Elon's SpaceX also has the letter X in it. Then we have Elon's son Grimes, whom he's named after X too. I feel like it's only a matter of time till he decides to rebrand Tesla too. What do you think? The main vision of X is much older than you think. Elon liked a company called X.com, which was another financial service he founded in 1999. That company became what we knew as PayPal today. But now that Elon has Twitter and a ton of experience, he wants to integrate financial services and make X an all-in-one social media platform. Musk has already said a plethora of times that he wants to make Twitter useful and effective. He has already shown his interest in apps like WeChat and TikTok and wants to make Twitter like them. WeChat is the most popular service in China, encompassing hundreds of millions of people's digital lives. The app contains mini-programs that are all surrounded by the WeChat ecosystem. WeChat is so popular that everything in China revolves around it, and it encompasses services like news channels, Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Instagram, and similar apps like these. It's quite clear that Elon's plan is to turn X into an application that is the first priority for all sorts of audiences. From teenagers and adults to older adults, Elon wants to provide them with a space where every opinion matters while giving them additional services to leverage. But has this ever been done in the US before? Failed attempts of the Everything app in the US tech platforms for years have been trying to find the best ways to monetize their customer base and products. Many services have tried making their own banking apps, only to find that services like PayPal, Stripe, and MasterCards are much more credible and preferred by them. Competing with the traditional banking system is no joke, even if you own the biggest platforms. To this, Meta has already tried a project called Libra, and even spent years funding the project. It was a project that was supposed to change the world of cross-border payments. On the other hand, Apple currently offers its own credit card. However, its banking partner Goldman Sachs Group is looking to end the deal. We've also seen some efforts from other companies like Google, Amazon, and more, but they never seem to bear much fruit. This makes us consider whether the users even want an app like X. Well, for the most part, it's still unclear since people use multiple apps to do their daily work. It doesn't bother users to use social media and then switch to their banking apps for making a transaction. However, Meta's CFO, Susan Li, has already said that we haven't seen a use case of an all-in-one app in North America. Chapter 3. The Everything app. But what exactly is this Everything app? Elon Musk plans to make many more changes just by rebranding, moving back to WeChat, and I know we've mentioned it in the video several times, but it's the best comparison to X right now. Daily life in Chinese cities is impossible to navigate without WeChat. It's to an extent where abandoning WeChat means you're abandoning your whole digital life. At some point in the past, WeChat used to be a simple messaging platform, but with time, they started rolling several apps into one. From messages, social media, payments, bill paying, subscriptions, planes and track tickets, to ride, hailing, renting, and much more, WeChat is a lifestyle for Chinese people at this point. And the company behind this app is none other than the Chinese tech giant Tencent, which is known to publish popular games like PUBG. While this level of control might not work in America, Elon's plans are to make X an Everything app, and it is not to restrict the digital life of someone, but to provide convenience and a better digital user experience. And just like WeChat, Elon would love to introduce an innovation in the West. This is the main reason why Elon started calling Twitter X, because Twitter makes a lot of sense when you tweet like a bird, write threads, and talk to each other. But to introduce a financial service and not fail, that's something that needs branding. I'm not saying that it will succeed, but the rebranding is probably more important than we think. The changes after rebranding the world's richest person's affiliation with the letter X made its way to the rebranding. And shortly before buying Twitter, Elon wrote, "Buying Twitter is an accelerant to creating X, the everything app. At that time, no one took his words seriously, and here we are less than a year later, his vision finally came to fruition. From monetizing creators to changing the whole look and feel, Twitter has already changed significantly from its early days by offering video as well. As of now, Elon's profile picture is also the X logo, and in one of his tweets, he explains that Twitter was acquired by X-Corp to ensure freedom of speech and turn it into an everything app. He also said that the company is not just renaming itself, but with the new update, users can now post several hours of video. Before Elon's purchase, Twitter was geared more towards microblogging, only allowing up to 140 seconds of video with up to 512 minutes. Now we're seeing this new update where hours of video can be added, and in the upcoming months, Elon plans to create comprehensive communication features with the ability to do business right on X. So in all of these cases, the word Twitter just doesn't make sense anymore, according to Elon. And in Elon's own words, in his meeting with Twitter staff, he said, "You basically live on WeChat in China because it's so usable and helpful to daily life. And I think if we can achieve that, or even get close to that at Twitter, it would be an immense success." With Tencent's direct involvement in WeChat, the number of users has grown to 1.2 billion per month. Well, he's technically right. Imagine using different apps like Uber, Deliveroo, and more on a social media platform like Facebook. And using a Facebook payment account instead of a credit card account, it will make the app an all-in-one general app for doing most digital tasks. This could also make doing business easier, as everything could potentially be done right on social media. If there's an integration of time, tracking applications, productivity tools, and project management apps, companies will start to consider using an app like X instead of using 50 different apps to achieve a simple task. In that context, X just makes a lot of sense. Your whole digital identity can be tied to a simple app, which means that switching between apps will be minimized, a lot of time will be saved, and users will feel a lot more secure, knowing that they have everything in one place. However, that doesn't mean the new X's success is confirmed, as there are many roadblocks that Elon and the team must take into consideration. So let's talk about the current roadblocks that X is facing. Chapter 4. X's roadblocks. To say the least, it isn't easy. The Chemo of Mediaocean, an advertising partner of Twitter, raised a really good point. He said that Elon's companies like Tesla haven't done a lot in terms of advertising. For the most part, it's built on Elon's own beliefs that the company is revolutionary, which makes Tesla self-marketing, and you don't have to advertise it. However, if we look at the other end of the story, the way Twitter was built, it has accumulated millions of dollars from big brands and companies. So, how exactly is that a problem? Well, expanding a platform's reach to include new features like shopping, subscription, and payments are bound to cause the investment of big companies for X to succeed. And when you take into consideration that you are introducing a vast majority of features that make the company reliant on large companies' willingness to spend money, it becomes a problem. Twitter has already faced many controversies due to Elon. Twitter has already dropped nearly half its advertising money ever since Elon joined, and the investment is a lot in terms of introducing the new cloud features. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars here, and considering that Elon has already fired 1/3 of Twitter employees, what makes you think that the company is making enough revenue to sustain itself long? For now, X is just a name change. No new features have been introduced, and we don't know when something innovative will drop. But that's just classic Elon Musk strategy, which is to create hype first, and then deliver when the audience's curiosity is at an all-time high. But the name change suggests that Elon is going to keep investing his time and money in the company, creating some of the biggest features we've ever seen. He might need to invest a big portion of his own net worth to be able to fund changes. Or he'll need to make deals with new advertisers that will provide him with enough investment money to make any changes possible. And according to Bloomberg's intelligence analyst Mandeep Singh, some observers believed that Elon might make some new changes and flip it to a different owner. That's more than a possibility, because look at what happened to PayPal. But now, let's move on to the real challenges that X might face, and these are potential legal challenges that could become a roadblock in this new transition. Legal problems. It hasn't been a month, and companies are suing X relentlessly. Well, we predicted it because nearly 900 companies have filed trademark registrations involving the letter X in the US. This includes some of the biggest tech giants like Meta and Microsoft. And what happened? Well, many companies are already suing X for the new change. We have a French news agency called AP, or Agence France, Presse, which has already filed a lawsuit against X, accusing the social media platform of refusing to engage in discussions about payments for news distribution. AF is also one of the oldest news publishing companies, and they're suing X based on a 2019 EU copyright reform that requires online platforms to compensate publishers for displaying their news. To this, Elon was shocked and deemed it as bizarre, ultimately dismissing it. But his copywriting scuffle doesn't end here, as days before this lawsuit, Canada also passed a new law that requires tech companies to share their revenue with news sites displayed on their platforms. There hasn't been a real development on the lawsuit, the time of this writing, but it seems like legal problems might be the biggest challenge that X has to face. Moreover, X is also getting backlash for its logo redesign, which looks similar to many adult film websites. The rebranding is coming as a challenge to Elon. But what about the big picture? Is the whole rebranding a mistake? Or will Elon make Twitter the everything app that he has a big vision towards? Chapter 5. Is rebranding a mistake? Rebranding is a huge step toward innovation or demise. Here are some reasons we think Twitter's rebranding could cost Elon heavily. 1. Elon has bigger fish to fry at some point in your life. You have to make choices. Elon Musk is one of the biggest names in the industry, and he's been putting out innovation after innovation. Just look at how far he's come with Tesla and SpaceX. So to think that he's leaving those innovations for a social media app might not be the best use of his precious time. However, in one case, it could yield big results, and that's him setting up X and eventually passing it to someone else to fund his current companies. But that also seems unlikely because the whole X brand is Elon's identity. If X becomes a failure, it will not only affect Elon's reputation, but his other brands might suffer with stock price drops and more. 2. Killing Twitter might not be the best idea. It took Twitter many years to become one of the world's largest and most popular social media platforms. It was being used by political parties, companies, and normal people. But now, Elon is laying out his super app for an all-in-one experience. While it is innovative, what if Elon simply created a chain app like Threads that would pair with Twitter to provide these benefits? It might not have been as effective as X's new updates that are about to come, but the risk ratio would decrease drastically. But we should note that Elon's brain isn't ordinary, and he must have already calculated the risk-to-reward ratio. If it makes sense to him, then we know it's a calculated risk. 3. The advertisers' problems. The new X transition could be a mistake because Twitter or X is making all its money from the advertisers who are already scared of spending more due to all the controversies Elon involves himself. Now, with the new name, they might even be more scared to make a move, which could potentially end X. While Twitter wasn't the biggest platform for ad spending, companies were still spending a lot of money on Twitter. Now, after the rebranding, Elon hasn't really revealed his actual plans. We know that he wants to make X an all-in-one app, but we don't know what exact features he will bring, and this is what advertisers hate the most. Uncertainty. Advertisers don't like mysteries, and they might be weirded out by Elon when it comes to brand safety and investments. 4. The Twitter name. Another interesting point is that Twitter and all its associated brands were valued at more than $4.4 billion last year. Well, that makes the Twitter brand itself more than its revenues. As the name changed, the brand revenue might drop as a whole, and that's one of the biggest assets they're walking away from. Moreover, rebranding itself is a huge decision, and it could lead either way. We have some of the biggest rebrandings that failed, starting from a simple Gap logo. Gap is a clothing brand, and after its new logo, it lost a huge amount of its revenue. If a logo can impact a company this much, how much do you think the name and design rebranding would do? Well, thankfully, Elon is a mastermind, and now X's whole identity is tied to him, which makes X less susceptible to failure. 5. Angry and confused fans. But something that recently happened with Twitter's X on the App Store is that users are starting to downrating the app with 1-star reviews. Many people had mixed feelings about the whole rebranding agenda, and some users in the US have been super pissed about this transition. Their anger reached the point where nearly 70-80 of all Us EO's reviews of X have been 1-star reviews of X have been 1-star reviews. The 1-star reviews show us how many fans are angry with the rebranding. But I'd also like to know your opinions on it. Let us know in the comments. Chapter 6. Will X successfully replace Twitter? So the question arises, will X successfully replace Twitter? The answer to that depends on what Elon plans to do with the app. For now, it seems like the long-term goal of Elon Musk is to add new and exciting options to the app so users can do more than just tweet. However, if it's a far-off goal, there's a chance that users might start protesting about the fact that one of their favorite social media apps has been changed. The Twitter brand legacy is already long gone, but thanks to this rebranding, the number of users is increasing on X, making it directly compete with other apps like Threads. According to Elon Musk, X has already reached a new high, with the total number of users increasing to 535 million in recent months. It would be interesting to see what new innovations Elon Musk brings to Twitter, but since then, it seems like we'll need to embrace this new change and accept X as the new Twitter. Will X succeed or fail? That's for the future to decide. Let us know whether you think X is the future of social media or it is just another gimmick like Meta's Libra that is bound to fall.